Apple unveils a new line of Macs, Windows 7 launches, and we'll check out some of the top features from that. Plus, ATI and OCZ come out with some expansions cards, find out exactly what they do and if they'll actually make your computer perform a little bit better. We're talking with the guys from HotHardware.com like we do every week, Dave Altavilla and Marco Chiappetta.
This show brought to you by Petco. Go to petco.com/techv10 or use promo code techv10 and get 10% off any order.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Randall Bennett. So last week was a big week for Apple and Microsoft. Let's talk about Apple first, though. They unveiled some updates to their Mac line. Among them, a new Mac Mini, a bigger iMac, and a buttonless mouse. It's called the Magic Mouse. Now, Marco, what's your take on the new Apple updates? Is there anything that really caught your eye?
Well, I really like the new iMacs. The fact that they're using Intel's new Linfield processors and the higher-end Radeon graphics just means better performance across the board. And I think that new Magic Mouse is pretty cool. I haven't tried it, but it's like using a multi-touch touchpad on a notebook, but for your desktop. It's really cool.
I mean, I look at that Magic Mouse, and I got to say, Apple doesn't have the best track record with ergonomic mice, so I'm a little bit weary. At the same time, when you compare these Macs to the last generations of Macs, Marco, is there a big difference between that Linfield processor? I mean, is it really a big difference for people?
Yes, the thing with Linfield is it has faster single and multi-threaded performance. So whether or not you're running a multi-threaded app, the way turbo mode works on those chips, everybody's going to get a performance boost over the previous generation.
Got it. So it actually is something that if you bought a Mac a month ago, sucks to be you.
Yes.
Other stuff we're talking about this week. Windows 7 has also hit the streets. They one-upped Apple a few days after the Apple announcement with, there's a bunch of new features in this. A lot of people are saying this is supposed to be the thing that fixes Vista's woes. And among them, Dave, you guys have run down a list of the top 10 features. Break down some of your favorites for us.
Well, I think my favorites kind of start from the big and the little, and I think the biggest enhancement would be performance. I mean, certainly the OS itself is much snappier and more responsive than Vista was. It's much less demanding in terms of system resources, but I think that really culminates from the result of the effort that Microsoft put into streamlining the code and having it be a little bit more intelligent in terms of dynamically scaling according to available system resources.
Well,
so you can.
Last time we were talking, you said that if you're on a netbook, it'll run a lot smaller, and if you have 18,000 gigs of RAM, it'll run a lot bigger.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, on a netbook with a gig of RAM and an Atom processor, a low power Atom processor, and that's in most of the netbooks these days, it's certainly smooth and much better performing than Vista. As a matter of fact, most netbook manufacturers never installed Vista on their laptops. They stayed with XP because Vista was such a pig. Yeah. Windows 7 does away with that and actually runs smooth on netbooks. And then, yeah, if you have up to 12 gigs of RAM in your machine or something, of a heavy-duty installation like that, it certainly will consume a larger memory footprint and allow you to run more applications, do more multitasking, and assume that additional memory resource or processor resource as well.
A couple weeks ago, I actually got a chance to take a look at the Nokia booklet, which is actually a relatively slow netbook. It actually looks really pretty, but it's the insides aren't so quick. And Windows 7 didn't seem to run too poorly on that. I mean, we got to click around a little bit and do a little bit of multitasking here and there, but it didn't really seem like it was this big memory hog that Vista was. And Dave, you have some other littler features that are interesting for Windows 7 as well. What are some of those?
Yeah, on the littler side of things, if you will, or the smaller features, it's a little bit more glitz and glam, but I think it's one of those things where as you get comfortable with the OS, get used to using it, they become more interesting and perhaps more functional. Arrow Peek, Arrow Shake, these are new Windows Aero desktop features. Peek allows you to mouse over to the left side of your taskbar and hover over applications that are open, and you can actually peek at a window to see how many different windows you have open and to see what's actually happening. Maybe you have a web browser, Word, or some Office application going, and you can actually peek real quick before actually clicking on that mini window view and then maximizing it to look at it.
Well, my favorite one was the shake one. I guess you're just going to talk about that, where you can actually click a window and shake it, and it's supposed to get rid of the rest of them, right?
Yeah, so exactly. You have a bunch of windows open on your desktop. It's a cluttered mess, as my desktop usually is. And you grab one of your windows, whether it be an applications window or a web browser window, shake it around real quick, and the only window that will then be left open is that one that you shook around the desktop. So another little glitzy feature, nice to have, quick little tidy up process. And then Arrow Snap is the other one that I like a lot, where you can snap a window or an application window, a web window, what have you, over to the right, left of your screen.
Yeah, it makes it it just tidies it up. I mean, you can get to things a lot quicker and hopefully keep your desktop a little bit more organized, which ours, obviously, I guess I'm in the same boat as you, Dave. I tend to have a pretty messy desktop as well, like 800 windows, all that stuff. Marco, we're also talking today about the Radeon ATI's latest set of graphics cards, and these have a little unique element that's price, right? These are actually relatively inexpensive.
Well, it kind of goes with the Windows 7 launch. DirectX 11 is another big feature of Windows 7, and these new Radeons, the 5700 series, the more expensive of the two is under 160 bucks, and the mid-range offering is only $110. So users looking to enter the DX11 world don't have to spend a ton of money for a decent graphics card.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. So, with this stuff, does that mean, are they going to get the performance that they need? I mean, what's the performance hit on these pretty cheap cards?
Well, DX11 itself doesn't cause a performance hit. Generally, performance is increased with DX11 versus DX10, although there's not games out right now that'll show it. Yeah. But these cards are actually about as fast as ATI's previous generation. So the Radeon HD 4890 is about as fast as the new 5750. So they're very high performers for the money.
Yeah. Well, and lastly, we wanted to talk about OCZ. Now, they're a company that people who are into solid-state drives, they know them pretty well. They're coming out with a RAID card / hard drive combo. Dave, can you kind of explain this a little bit for us?
Combination of a RAID controller, PCI Express-based RAID controller card, hybrid with 4 individuals. Well, what we looked at was a 4 by 64 gig SSD installation on that card, so a RAID 0 array for 256 gig total, and plugs into a single PCI Express by 8 slot, and you would think, real elegant sort of one slot solution. Very interesting product.
Interesting stuff. So how much is that again?
Well, it retails for $899, and as it stands right now, it's it performs in some applications, standard, sort of desktop business applications, what have you, multimedia. It performs about as fast as an average single SSD. It does weigh in at a little bit of a premium over a standard SSD, about $350 a gig versus the average SSD, which is somewhere south of $3.
Yeah.
However, where it does excel is on large file transfers, reads and writes of large files. So video guys like you, Randall, producers, what have you, in the video space where you're transferring large HD video files from one volume to another, this product would certainly excel. We'd like a little bit more performance out of it, and we're hoping that OCZ will tweak that BIOS and tweak the card in general moving forward to get some more performance out of it in standard applications.
Yeah. Well, it'll definitely be interesting to see where it goes. I mean, SSD obviously is the next big thing. I'm hoping it'll keep getting faster and all that stuff. But guys, we're going to have to leave it there. We're out of time. Dave and Marco from HotHardware, you can check them out at hothardware.com. This is the best stuff from last week, but of course they're always putting out new stuff every day, so check that out. I'm Randall Bennett. Don't forget, you can catch this on iTunes, we're on YouTube, we're over at HotHardware, we're on TechVi, we're everywhere. See you later.